I was literally standing here for about 10 to 15 minutes trying to finally press record and start filming. Alright guys, I'm just gonna go with this. Alright, it's Saturday the 15th of June, as you can see on my phone here. Got 10 minutes to chat to the camera. So basically the challenge here today is, as you can see, there's so many people around me. So I've chosen Carlton Park today because it's a beautiful weather in Melbourne, and yesterday I was at Coast Coast, so I just wanted to change the scenery a little bit. Yeah, I was literally standing here for about 10 to 15 minutes trying to finally press record and start filming. So it's day number 35 of learning how to speak confidently in public. So yesterday I actually stand in front of Costco's lift where a crazy queue is gathering up, and literally people coming into Costco from like 3-4 different ways. And yeah, that was quite challenging, but I did it. I did the 10 minutes and I reviewed the footage I've reviewed the footage like 2 times, and I think that wasn't too bad. It was quite confident, I would say. And today, only one day passed since yesterday, but you know, that tension came back to me again, and had a little bit of a social anxiety, I guess, in the first 10 to 15 minutes. But I just pressed record and not stopping, even though like people are watching me and looking at me, and it doesn't really matter. We have to learn somehow, and we're gonna learn this way, and this is the only way to learn, to expose yourself to this environment where people are walking around yourself and just looking at you, and you just have to cope with it, accept it, deal with it, and move on talking to the camera. So I just wanted to, I guess, continue the topic on yesterday, because I did review yesterday's video twice, and I thought that I have to get into more details about how I started a coffee shop. Everyone probably thinks by now that I graduated uni and I was only studying and never worked whilst in uni. That was never the case, unfortunately. The case was that since I arrived to Melbourne 15 years ago, after 2 weeks or so, I found a job as a dishwasher, washing dishes in a Thai restaurant. I was getting about 11 bucks an hour at that time, and about after a year, because I became so efficient and quick, they raised my salary to like 12 bucks an hour. So I worked there for about 1.5 years, and then got promoted to being a kitchen hand. So I was packing takeaway boxes, putting them in the bags, etc. So that's how my life started in Australia, obviously. And as the days were moving by, I was studying, then I found a second job as a cashier and stockist. So we were putting the stock onto the shelves. It was a crazy bad story there, because the owner hasn't been paying me for 2 to 3, 4 months worth of salaries, and it was quite frustrating, because obviously in the beginning my parents helped me out with paying for the tuition fees, but then they had financial issues and I had to take up this onto myself. So I started working on my third job as a kitchen hand or dishwasher in an Italian restaurant, which didn't go as well, because the plates and fry pans and all the pans were so heavy that it was literally hard to actually survive there. So I quit that job after like 2-3 months in. So I stayed at that IGA job first, and then at Thai restaurant, and yeah, and then since then I grew up to, what was my other job then? Oh yeah, I found a job in a door knocking business. So I was literally walking around Melbourne, and mind me, I was also studying during that time, so it was all in parallel. I had 3 jobs, I had uni, and I did those 3 jobs. Sometimes I worked at night time, and I would just come back to uni the next day, and sometimes doze off and sleep whilst the lessons, unfortunately. But I didn't end up graduating from uni quite successfully, and I am a Bachelor of Accounting and Business and Finance, and also a CPA qualified accountant, which took me 6 years to finish off. Let's just check the timer a little bit because there's so many people around me. Okay, still 5 minutes to go. I'm gonna just update you on how the situation is going. So this is literally in front of me. And I'm thinking I'm getting a bit more confident right now. Now I'm a little bit calm, and I think this calmness comes like 2 to 3 minutes into the video. So yeah, where I left off. So yeah, I quit my Thai job after 1.5 years or 2 because I worked as a waiter in their other branch, and then I found this door knocking business. They were selling the power boards and chimney balloons and the downlights. So it was sort of from the Victorian government, providing it for free to people. Even though it was free, people were still hesitant accepting it because they're thinking that nothing is free in this life. But yeah, I did that job quite successfully because I was hungry for money, because I had to pay for my tuition fees, etc. And I was literally working from 9 a.m. to like 6 p.m. or so, door knocking people's doors and selling those power boards and chimney balloons and all those downloads. So every power board I would sell, I get $10 per power board, and every chimney balloon I sell, and I had to actually look at the houses around the suburb area and see whether they had chimneys. So if, for example, a house had like 2 or 3 chimney balloons, I could install like 2 or 3 chimney balloons in there. Chimneys, and I could install 2 or 3 chimney balloons in there. Yeah, literally people walking around here. It's quite hectic. Anyhow, every chimney balloon I sell would give me about $20 because you had to get some effort into it. So you had to actually unpack this chimney balloon, and then you had to blow it in, and it's like size of a pillow, and you had to stuck it up into the chimney. So that's what I was doing. It wasn't as good as selling power boards, and I was number 1 in the team in terms of the numbers. So per day I was probably selling or giving out the free power boards up to like 30 or 40 of them, and that was like top 1. And every colleague of mine were literally asking me, how do you do it? Because they were hungry for money as well, and they haven't had that ability to actually sell as much as possible. So their numbers were like 5, 10, max 15, 20. My numbers were about 40, 50, 60 per day. So you can imagine the scale, right, of me selling the power boards. I had a bit of a story going on there where I think I already told this, but anyhow, let's stay focused on this point because time goes pretty quick. And whilst I was doing that job, I found a job in a hotel as a receptionist, and I was actually aiming for that job for quite a while whilst I was working as a kitchen hand and a cashier, because I heard that as a receptionist in a hotel you can get quite a bit of money, and my sort of wage went up to like $23 from like $12 I was working for at the Thai restaurant. And I worked in the hotel industry for about 4 years, so worked as a night receptionist, night auditor, so to speak, for about 4 years. And while I was doing that, I was doing that door knocking work during the day. So at one point, I had to actually work in the hotel from 11 p.m. up until 7 a.m. Then I would go, because I didn't have, at that time, I remember I didn't really have a place to live, so I stayed at my friend's place for a while, and it was in Newport. So to get from Melbourne CBD to Newport took about 30 minutes. By the time I get there, I take shower, I prepare myself to sleep. That was already like 8 a.m. and I had to start the other job at 10 a.m. So to travel to that other job, the door knocking business, took me about an hour or so because it was in different suburbs around Melbourne. And basically I had only like 1 or 2 hours of sleep every day for 2 or 4 months or so. That wasn't quite sustainable, and yeah, I eventually changed that a little bit, but yeah, that was my life for 3 or 4 months. So I was literally, oh, the time flew pretty quickly. All right, that's done. Anyhow, I'm gonna finish that story short and then continue that story in my next video, so that, you know, it's more engaging for you to watch my next video. So yeah, that's how it ended up. So I worked in a hotel from 11 p.m. till 7 a.m. Then I decided to go straight to my other work. So I traveled by train to my other work, and I agreed with the team leader at that time of that door knocking business to allow me to sleep in the van. And that's what I've been doing for 3 or 4 months. I was working in a hotel, then traveling on the train to that, you know, suburb, whether it's Surrey Hills or you name it. I can't even remember all the suburbs I've been into. I was traveling there, and they would usually hide the keys behind the wheels. So I would pick the keys up, open the door, put a sort of a, not a blanket, I had a jacket. I'd put the jacket on to myself and sleep for like 3 hours or so. It was obviously better than traveling to Newport and sleeping for 1 hour, right? So yeah, so I did that for 3 or 4 months. And the funny story is that, you know, when the team leader would arrive to that van, he would knock on the window at 10 a.m. and sort of wake me up. And that's how I was waking up for 3 or 4 months, basically hearing that knock on the window, and I wake up, grab my coffee and some snack, and yeah, wake up that way and start my second job from 10 a.m. I mean, that job was paying quite well. That's for the next video. And yeah, I think that's all I have to say for today. Yeah, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate that you watched till this end. This is my real life story of living in Melbourne, starting the new life. I came here when I was 19. And yeah, basically, one thing I wanted to add is that when I woke up at 10 a.m. for my second job, the door knocking business, it was summer. It was 30 or 35 degrees in Melbourne, and basically had 3 hours of sleep and had to walk around on my feet around Melbourne suburbs where there are no roofs and the sun is shining onto my face directly. It was crazy hard, but I did survive for 3 or 4 months because I was quite determined on making the money and paying for my tuition fees. So it wasn't as easy as you think, that I've graduated my uni and then went on to finding a full-time job in accounting in my industry. It wasn't that easy, and I'm gonna tell you this story in the next video. See you, au revoir, paka paka. Just an update, guys. As you can see, there's quite a lot of people around me. Yeah, they were literally all looking at me whilst I'm speaking. Obviously, as you can see, there's no one behind except some people, but my purpose is that people are actually looking at me whilst I'm recording, not looking at my bag, but in my face. That's where the tension happens. If I would put my camera over here, I would not have any tension because the people are at the back, and I don't really care what happens behind me. But I did this on purpose so that people are actually looking at me whilst I'm talking to the camera, and that's how I feel that the confidence is built up. So yeah, bye guys.